Your world needs building, and specifically it needs tall tales and folklore and legends. And I think I know exactly where we should start. Okay, so hear me out. You could spend hours fleshing out the entire lineage of the royal family dating back thousands of years. Or you could just make a silly little guy. Obviously, if your campaign focuses on the royal family, you probably should still flesh that out a bit. But if you're sick of making family trees, silly little guys are a great break from that. Because boy, do family trees get messy fast. And I mean, these guys look pretty rad. See, what your world needs here are cryptids. So today I'm going to tell you exactly what a cryptid is, how I made one, how you can make one, and why your world should have one in there. Or several, honestly. And I'll even give you the stat block and lore of a cryptid that I created for free in the description below. So let's start at the beginning. What even is a cryptid? Per Wikipedia, which honestly is as good a source as any these days, a cryptid is a creature who exists according to eyewitnesses and folklore, but has no proven scientific evidence of it existing. The term cryptid actually stems from cryptozoology, which means the study of hidden animals. People have tried to explain away cryptids with it being Nessie being broken logs floating in Loch Ness, or tricks of the light puppetry. And sometimes you kind of even see them being used as a Scooby-Doo type villain, where it's someone in a mask. The hodag that I've talked about on this channel before is a cryptid as well. But more common examples would be El Chupacabra or the Mothman. These are creatures whose story is bigger than themselves, sensationalized to the point that everyone around the world knows of them or has heard of them, yet they're hidden away and secretive. In short, we don't know if cryptids are real or not. We know that something was seen on Loch Ness, or something was seen in the Northwoods, but there's no scientific evidence to prove what that something was. It's a mystery, it's an unknown. And in a world like today where we are surrounded by technology and scientific advancements, or in a more fantastical DnD world where you're surrounded by divination and foresight, that kind of mystery is hard to come by. That unknown is a magic little nugget of potential. And that potential is absolutely something that you can use. So let's make a cryptid to put that potential into ourselves. For the sake of ease, I'm going to make this cryptid with the intention to put it into a more modern day setting, but you can absolutely drop it into a fantastical one with just a little bit of tweaking. As far as design goes, there's kind of two paths that I think that you could take. Either make the art first and then figure out the lore around that art, which is what I did for this video example, or figure out what role you want this cryptid to serve in your world first, and then design from there. For example, if you know that you want this to be a cryptid that lives in the local lake, you should probably give it some aquatic features. I'd likely advise the latter if this cryptid is going to be a key campaign piece for you or a key setting piece. But if you just need a weird little guy to send your players on some quests, the first does suffice. Now, if you have skills in 2D art, this is where you have your time to shine and you can create something that looks really cool. Or if you're not artistically inclined, you could sit down with a friend and have a conversation and kind of talk with them through what you think it should look like and pay them appropriately for their services to get a really cool piece of art of your cryptid. Or maybe you find a picture of your weird dog being the cryptid that he normally is, or one of those weird medieval cats. They are peak cryptid, honestly, if you just want to use one of those. Now, I don't have a lot of art skills, and my art friends are very, very busy and do not have time for the commission that I needed for this particular video. So I doodled something up on my lunch break. I genuinely took about 10 minutes to do this. He's not perfect by any means, but he should do the trick. I think he's kind of cute. He's kind of grumpy, but I do kind of love the idea of him being able to unhinge his jaw like a snake, just to add a little bit more weirdness and freaky to him instead of just a fluffy rat. So now that we have this art, let's get some lore for this little guy. I've been kind of on a detective agency kick working on a future campaign, so my immediate thought is to have him be a thief. I think this guy might be what's responsible for stealing your socks out of the dryer when you go to fold your laundry and you're always seeming to miss at least one sock and you can't find the correct pairing for it. And maybe he's made of dryer lint. If you don't clean out the lint trap enough in your dryer, this lint rat appears. See, dust bunnies are friendly creatures that lurk in little corners and under couches and are pretty chill once they become sentient. But lint rats, they're a little more mischievous. And they're very good at hiding, like all cryptids must be. They start out pretty small, but they can get large, and I do mean D&D's definition of large, like able to be ridden into battle large. Now, obviously a dryer and dryer lint might not fit your fantasy world, but keep in mind that lint is a naturally occurring thing. If people wear clothes, lint naturally occurs. It's the normal wear and tear that breaks down off of fabric. It's those little pills on your sleeve of your hoodie when you wear it a bit too much or it starts getting worn out. While a dryer does aggravate this and speeds up that process, it does still exist naturally. Lint rats might find homes in abandoned closets filled with clothes when someone had to leave a home suddenly, or a fabric and clothing shop who maybe don't clean underneath their displays quite as well as they should. So that's an easy solution if you're wanting to put him into a more fantastical world than our modern day. Regardless of what setting you put him in, the lint rat works as a cryptid because science can't explain why my socks go missing in the dryer. Or why it's not just me. I mean, that's a recurring trope in a lot of cartoons and in a lot of silly stories. It's a creature that's hard to get a photo of, even in modern era, because they're so good at hiding and because their fur is made of dryer lint, they kind of blend in with their surroundings. People will just see a dash of them scurry under the washing machine or get tucked away into a shadowy corner of the utility room. But you can usually tell when they're nearby because socks start going missing more. And maybe there should be a bit more lint trapped in your dryer because you definitely don't clear it out as much as you should, but there's not as much as there probably should be after however long it's been since you last cleaned it out. Sidebar. Clean out your dryer trap. That's a big hazard as far as house fires. Please make sure that you're cleaning that out regularly, friends. Go do that if you haven't. But aside from the lint trap, you also find fuzzy trappings of hair that don't quite match your hair and don't quite match the dog's. It's almost rodent-like. If you've ever run a shirt through the wash and then notice a tiny little hole in it, that's probably the lint rat looking for a snack. Maybe in your D&D world there's an old wives' tale that people tell their kids about making sure to put your laundry away right away so as to not attract lint rats, as the lint rat is known to snatch away the one item you need the most for that one special occasion if you just let it sit in the hamper. And it'll only return it after your event has passed, and there may or may not be a couple little nibbles out of it. Or maybe the seamstresses and tailors in your world put out little small batches of scrap fabric outside of their shop to appease the lint rats to keep them from coming in and wrecking the havoc on their displays. So as you're walking down an alley, you'll just see a little pile of fabric scrap where lint rats may or may not be having a feast. But Misty, why the heck do I want a lint rat in my game? Good question, friend. There's a few reasons for it. For starters, this can help enrich a world. In the Appalachians, people warn of Mothman. And if you were to go to the Himalayas, you'll hear stories of the Yeti at the mountains and to be wary of them. Regardless of if it's real or not, people believe in these legends. And part of that is because, to some extent, while there's no scientific proof that the Yeti exists, there's also no scientific proof denying its existence. To quote B.J. Hollers in his book Midwest Strange, "Where facts fall short, fiction flourishes." And these stories and tales are pretty strong proof of that aspect. Much how Fae are rooted in folklore, so are cryptids, and they're used to make the world make sense. If you see something scary and you're not quite sure what it was, maybe it was Bigfoot, and knowing, or at least having an idea of what it was, even if it is a tall-tailed cryptid, is much more comforting to someone than not knowing at all. If you think that the lint rat sounds a little bit more Fae than beast, there's likely good reason for that. Fae and folklore are closely woven together, and that thread follows through to cryptids as well. They're cut from very much the same cloth, and I promise I'll stop making fabric puns eventually. But a cryptid, like the lint rat, are able to be used as quest hooks or unique adventures, or for lightheartedness and brevity. Maybe a lint rat steals the magic MacGuffin from the party one night while they're sleeping, and they have to get it back through a series of hijinks to lead them to a pack of lint rats and the large brood mother of them. Or maybe you've kind of put your players through the ringer lately and you just want to give them a little bit of a lighthearted adventure. After all, you can't have everything doom and gloom all the time, or that tension and suspense doesn't become suspenseful anymore. You have to let them relax and chill and remember what normalcy is in order to further emphasize just how scary and horrible the thing that's happening is in the world. And what's a better way to do that than with a creature that steals socks, and a mild inconvenience becoming more and more of a problem as more and more clothing items get stolen. Let me know in the comments how you would use that grumpy little dude. And while the lint rat may just be this little doodle, I did come up with this guy and his lore literally over lunch break one day at work. But if I can make this guy that fast, you can do it too, especially if you have the time to put it into your campaign. And having this guy and the folklore surrounding him in my world gives so much more potential and flavor to any sort of trip to a shop that sells fabric goods, whether it's a tailor or a seamstress or a local dress shop in your worlds. Is this something that is going to completely turn your world upside down by introducing? No, probably not, especially not the lint rats. Transparently, they're obviously pretty lighthearted and pretty chill little guys. Stealing socks is not going to have a huge level of concern the way that maybe, for example, a cryptid like the Mothman would. According to old legends, the Mothman actually heralds natural disasters incoming. So imagine the panic if sightings of him pick back up around a local village and everyone is panicking and trying to evacuate because they don't know what to expect. Whether it's the real Mothman or a guy in a Scooby-Doo mask, the legends are gonna keep persisting because the legend existed before the guy put on the mask. In fact, the man probably put on the mask because of the legends. So keep that in mind as well when you're creating these cryptids, because other people will likely use their influence and power against others as well. And maybe the real cryptid isn't a big fan of that either. So there you have it, cryptids, folklore, and why it should exist in your fantasy world. If you're interested, I do have the lint rat as well as a brood mother lint rat stat block for free down in the description below, and that includes both lore and a stat block. I hope that this encourages you to do some research on your own local cryptids and maybe try making your own cryptid or two for your own fantasy world. Thank you so much for watching. Please be sure to like, share, subscribe, and comment. It really does help out the channel, and I will see you next time.